what was a time in your life where you had a belief and it was completely changed, either by a person or a thing or a book?
Ooh, okay. So it was when I used to be a really big people pleaser.
Yeah.
That was kind of a belief, right? Like,
Yeah.
I thought if I help others, they would value me.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's how I operated, like, for the longest time, ever since I was like a kid to maybe like starting in high school, like where I kind of realized that was like shattered. It was 'cause in middle school, I genuinely just didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And like, I thought that being a people pleaser would make me friends, right? But while that did get me, you know, some surface level friendships, they weren't actual friendships. Like, I was still kind of friendless at the end of the day, because all the relationship is just how can they use me or how can I help them? And that, I feel like, was shattered at some point when I also went through my self-help era back in high school. And I realized to myself, like, whoa, I didn't realize that I was behaving this way. Like, I genuinely had no idea I was operating like that. Like, it's just something I subconsciously did because deep down, I felt like I didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And so once I started reading a little bit more, once I just started like trying to grow myself, I realized, oh, this is what I'm doing. And so once I started trying to focusing more on myself, I realized that your relationships shouldn't be built on what others can do for you or what you can do for others, but based on shared and common values. So that was a big shift for me in terms of how I go about friends, how I go about not being a people pleaser. At the end of the day, I still love to help my friends.
Yeah.
And I appreciate their help for me too, but that's not what makes our relationship special.
See, that's a really interesting, because I want to challenge you on that thought, because I'm a very, very big advocate for living selflessly and going out of your way to help people as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue is not helping people. I think the issue is the expectation behind it. So, I mean, I'm a Christian and they know that. But like in the Bible, it says when you give with your right hand, your left hand shouldn't even know what you're giving. And so I think I used to be the same way, where I would help people. When you have the people pleaser mindset, it's what you're creating is a transactional relationship. It goes, if I do this for this person, then I will get their love or I will get their approval. A lot of people fall into this with like romantic partners, where they go like, oh, I'm going to show them the world, or I'm going to give them this or that, or give them so much attention. And they'll pour all this attention to their romantic partner, and then they'll convince themselves that their romantic partner doesn't like them because it's not reciprocated. And that may be true or it may not be true, but you already lost the second you lost the second you said, I'm going to give you something and I expect it in return.
Yes.
And so I think that's the issue with the people pleaser mentality. And that's, I'm a huge advocate for helping others and expecting nothing.
It's doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Even as a people pleaser, you're expecting that.
Because
something
it's
in
a
return.
selfish thing. But when you're a people pleaser, you don't ever think of it as selfless. You think of it as selfless. You think, oh, I'm doing all these things and these people don't love me. Yeah. I used to be very
it's unfair.
Depressed in high school. And one of my biggest struggles with depression was I felt like all my friends didn't like me. And one of the reasons I felt like all my friends didn't like me is because I was very aware of everything I did for them. And if they didn't do equal for me, I was like, oh, they don't like me. And now that I'm way more confident in myself and I have way more love for myself and I get my primary source of love from God, I always go out of my way to help others, but I just think nothing of it. I try my best to almost not forget, like I'm aware, but just do it and move on. And I found it's so funny because when you do it, and this is something Chris really taught me, is when you do it and expect nothing is when it always comes back to you. And I think that's just like God, the universe, how he set it up is giving. If you want to give and then get, then do it and have no expectations. I just think that God, the universe, he knows your heart behind it. And I thought that was really interesting.
No, that's so true. I think that is a very healthy way to go about relationships and like yourself as well. like when you do things for other people, you shouldn't expect anything in return if that's where you're coming from, a genuine place of just appreciation or love or like friendship. And I feel like that's something we've realized, like we come out of our people pleaser phase, and the more we mature as we grow older, and like we have access to more resources, we have more things that we can do, like better skills. It's like, I think that's all the more important to remember and keep in mind.